All right, you think you can get someone to let me down?
I think I kind of like you up there. I'm looking everywhere, man. I'm turning over rocks. I'm digging in people's backyards. I'm peeking in garage doors. I'm never stopping, never stopping.
For 30 years, he showed you one version of himself. The big personality, the cars, the rock and roll, the Count's Customs empire. But behind all of it, there was another life, a life nobody knew about, a life Danny Koker kept hidden for 3 decades. Until now, welcome to Dark World Explained, where we uncover the stories that were never meant to be told. Let's get into it. Before we pull back the curtain, let's establish who Danny Koker is, because the public version of this man is already extraordinary. Danny Koker was born in Cleveland, Ohio in January 1964. He grew up in a family steeped in 2 very specific worlds, automobiles and music. His father and his uncles were deeply involved in the car culture of the American Midwest. And music, specifically rock and roll, was in the blood from the very beginning. He moved to Las Vegas. And in Las Vegas, a city built on spectacle, on reinvention, on a particular American dream that says you can become whoever you want to be, Danny Koker built an empire, Count's Customs, the custom car and motorcycle shop that became legendary in its own right before television ever came calling. A business built on genuine skill, on the actual ability to take a piece of automotive history and transform it into something extraordinary. Not television skill, real skill, the kind that takes years to develop and cannot be faked on camera. And then Counting Cars came along. The History Channel reality show that followed the work of Count's Customs, the builds, the acquisitions, the restorations, the personalities, became one of the most watched shows on the network. Danny Koker, the Count, became a television star. He is big. He is loud. He has the kind of personality that fills a room immediately and completely. He has long hair and tattoos and a wardrobe that says rock and roll in every stitch. He rides motorcycles. He drives extraordinary cars. He fronts a band, Danny Koker and the Count Band, that performs regularly in Las Vegas. He is, in every visible way, exactly what he appears to be. But what he appears to be is not everything he is. And the hidden life, the double life, that Danny Koker has been living for 30 years, it is not what you expect. Here is the first layer of Danny Koker's double life, and it is the one that surprises people most. Danny Koker, the tattooed motorcycle-riding, rock and roll living Las Vegas-based television star, is a deeply committed Christian, not performatively, not for publicity, not as a brand or a marketing angle, genuinely, privately, in a way that he kept almost entirely separate from his public persona for decades. He grew up in a Christian household. His faith was part of his foundation, part of what his family gave him alongside the love of cars and music. And unlike many people who drift from their childhood faith as they move into the world of entertainment and celebrity, Danny Koker held on to his. He has been involved in church throughout his adult life. He has spoken, in context away from the Counting Cars cameras, away from the rock and roll persona, about what his faith means to him, about how it grounds him, about how it informs the way he treats people and runs his business and navigates the particular pressures of public life. The contrast between the public persona and the private faith is striking, and it is intentional. Danny Koker has been careful to keep these worlds separate, not because he is ashamed of either, but because he understands, with the instinct of someone who has navigated public life successfully for decades, that the moment you allow your private spiritual life to become public entertainment, you lose something essential about it. His faith is his, not the Count's, Danny Koker's. And for 30 years, he kept it that way. The second layer of the double life is the music. Most people who know Danny Koker from Counting Cars know about the band. They have seen glimpses of performances. They know the rock and roll identity is real and not manufactured. But what most people do not know is the depth of Danny Koker's musical life. The decades of work, before the television show, before the fame, before Count's Customs with a household name, that he put into music. He has been performing since he was a teenager, playing in bands, working the Las Vegas circuit, which is one of the most demanding, most competitive, most unforgiving performance environments in the world. Night after night, room after room, audiences that are there for other reasons and have to be won over. He learned in those years what it actually takes to hold an audience, what it takes to perform with genuine energy and genuine connection rather than simply going through the motions, skills that, interestingly, translate directly to what makes him compelling on television. But the music itself, the actual creative output, the recordings, the performances that exist outside of the Counting Cars context, has been a largely separate world, one that his television fans know exists but rarely engage with fully. Danny Koker has talked about what music means to him, in terms that are different from how he talks about cars. Cars are his business, his craft, his professional identity. Music is something else, something more personal, something that connects to the parts of himself that are not the Count, that are not the television personality, that are just Danny, the kid from Cleveland who fell in love with rock and roll before he knew what any of the rest of it was going to look like. The third layer of the double life, and the most personal one, involves his family. Danny Koker married Corey Koker. They have been together for decades. Their relationship, their partnership, their shared life is a foundation on which everything else is built. The business, the television show, the Las Vegas life that looks so spectacular from the outside. But within that life, there have been private struggles and private realities that Danny Koker has protected fiercely from public view. The question of children, of family, of the particular pain and complexity that can exist around that question is one that Danny and Corey have navigated privately. There have been reports and observations over the years about the Koker family situation that Danny has consistently declined to make into public content, consistently refused to turn into a television storyline or a press angle. That refusal, in a world where reality television personalities routinely expose every dimension of their personal lives for ratings, is significant. It speaks to a boundary that Danny Koker drew very early, between what belongs to the Count and what belongs to Danny. The Count is entertainment. The business is entertainment. The cars and the builds and the big personality, those are for the camera. But the things that matter most, the faith, the deepest music, the private family, those are not for the camera, have never been for the camera, will not be for the camera. That is the double life, not a sinister one, not a deceptive one, but a real one, a deliberate, carefully maintained separation between the public self and the private person. And maintaining that separation for 30 years in the age of social media and reality television and the constant pressure to share everything is harder than it sounds. There is another dimension of Danny Koker's hidden life that is less personal but equally significant, the business. Counting Cars shows you Count's customs. It shows you the builds, the acquisitions, the moments of drama and negotiation, and the finished products rolling out of the shop looking extraordinary. What it does not show you, what the cameras were never pointed at, is the full complexity of running a successful business in Las Vegas for decades. Danny Koker has been an entrepreneur since before anyone outside of Nevada knew his name. He built Count's Customs from the ground up, not with television money, not with celebrity investment, but with skill and reputation and the slow, unglamorous work of building a client base and a team and a business that could actually sustain itself. He has talked, in context outside of the show, about the business realities that television never fully captures, about cash flow, about managing people, about the difference between doing extraordinary work and running extraordinary business. Because these are different skills and you need both. He has been involved in other business ventures, restaurants, entertainment properties, other Las Vegas investments that exist entirely outside the Counting Cars universe, that the cameras at Count's Customs have never seen. And he has navigated the particular challenge of being a television personality whose business is also the subject of the television show. The blurring of those lines, the question of where Danny Koker the businessman ends and Danny Koker the television character begins, is something he has managed with more sophistication than is always apparent on screen. The public sees the Count. The business world sees something more complex, something more calculated, something that has been built deliberately over 30 years by someone who understood from early on that the persona was a tool, a powerful and genuine tool, but a tool in service of something larger. So who is Danny Koker really? When you pull back all the layers, the Count persona, the television show, the rock and roll image, who is the actual person? He is a man from Cleveland who grew up loving cars and music and God, who moved to Las Vegas and built something extraordinary from those three foundations, who figured out early and instinctively that the version of himself that played best on camera was not a fabrication, but an amplification, a genuine part of who he is, turned up to a volume that works for television. He is someone who has maintained, stubbornly, consistently, against the enormous pressure of media culture that wants everything, a private self that belongs to him, that is not entertainment, that is not content, that is just his. He is a husband who has built a real partnership over decades, a man of faith who has never used that faith for publicity, a musician who has never let the cameras fully inside what music actually means to him. He is, in the best possible sense, a man who has figured out who he is and has protected that knowledge carefully while also sharing enough of it to build a career and a platform and a following that is genuinely devoted. The double life of Danny Koker is not a scandal. It is not a betrayal of his audience. It is a story of a person who understood something that most public figures never figure out, that you can be real on camera, genuinely, authentically real, while also keeping the most real parts of yourself off camera, that the self you share and the self you protect can both be true, that being the count does not mean there is no Danny. For 30 years, Danny Koker showed you the count, the cars, the shop, the rock and roll life in Las Vegas, the big personality that television was made for, and all of it was real, every bit of it. But underneath, alongside, running parallel to all of it, was the other life, the faith he kept private, the music he never fully shared, the family realities he protected from the cameras, the business complexity that the show never captured, the Danny that existed before the count and will exist after the cameras stop rolling. That is the double life. And now you know it, not because it is scandalous, but because it is human. Because the most interesting thing about a man who has built such a spectacular public life is the private life he chose to protect alongside it. Danny Koker is not just a count. He is a man who figured out how to be both, fully, simultaneously, for 30 years, and that, in a world that demands everything from everyone all the time, is its own kind of extraordinary. Thank you so much for watching here on Dark World Explained. If this video revealed something you did not know, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We go deeper than anyone else, every single week. Leave a comment. What surprised you most about Danny Koker's hidden life? I want to read every single one. See you in the next video. Stay curious. Stay sharp.